This is a really attacking field. Just the 2 fielders out, and as we say that the third one goes to the cover boundary. But they're allowed to have another one. They're allowed to have 4 on the fence, but not seeing the need.
Keeper!
There's a bit of miscommunication. Eventually, they can go through for the single, even with the direct hit, no danger whatsoever. So the end of the 22nd, 95 for 5.
Face karo shara din dab dab dab. Face karo fun ar koto din dab dab.
Oily skin এই নে Pond's Oil Control Face Wash এর সিলিকা বিটস টেকনোলজি ত্বকের গভীরে গিয়ে অয়েল শুধু ক্লিনই করে না, ভেতর থেকে কন্ট্রোলও করে। অয়েল ফ্রি তো টেনশন ফ্রি।
মেয়াদ থাকতে পরবর্তী প্যাক কিনলেই হয়, তাহলে বাদ যাবে না কোনো এমবি। বাংলালিংকের ফাস্টেস্ট নেটওয়ার্কে উপভোগ করুন যে কোনো মেয়াদের পরবর্তী প্যাকে অব্যবহৃত ইন্টারনেট যোগ করার সুবিধা।
সেই দুপুরে টিফিন টাইম ঝরঝরে না হলে খাবে বলেন? আমার জন্য তাই চপস্টিকই ঠিক।
স্বাদ ও স্বাস্থ্য রাখতে ঠিক টেস্টিং সল্ট মুক্ত চপস্টিক।
স্বাদ ও পুষ্টির আস্থা।
চাপার জোর বাড়াও।
বিকাশে ভিসা ডেবিট কার্ড সেভ করে অ্যাড মানি করলে
100 টাকা বোনাস।
They've pulled it back brilliantly at Bangladesh. As you say, after 6.5 overs, South Africa 46 without loss. Basically 16 overs later, they've lost 50 for 5. So it's been Bangladesh who's been on top, and that's nicely played. Straight away looking to take the attack to Mahidi. Something he recognises. South Africa have been under the quash, and this is an opportunity for Pretorius to try and counter punch, and he does it brilliantly. Brings up the 100.
We know Pretorius there, a strong man, big hitter of the ball, but as a first-class batter, he's got a few hundreds, values his wicket. So a bit of a change of role that he does in first-class cricket, and picked as an opener here, that an all-rounder that can blast it. So I think he can be quite watchful and wait for the right one, and that was surely the right one.
We saw his stats when he came to the crease, nothing too impressive. He did play one innings I can remember in particular at the Wanderers for South Africa. I think it was against Pakistan in a T20 international where he strode in at number 3 and struck it nicely. He ended up with 70 odd. The last shot that he played is an example of the modern day cricketer. They have so much practice at being able to stay in the crease without using their feet, just wait for the full length delivery from the spinners and just trust their shape and the ground, and executed brilliantly. He's got a 6 and a 4 to his name in his innings so far. Race to 15
in New Zealand. Just doesn't get enough opportunity to play, which is always good if you're walking in at number 7 in the South African lineup. This is his opportunity. Bat some time. Dig South Africa out of this hole. Just works it leg side, looking for 2. And he's coming back for the 2. This is going to be pretty close. Well judged. Run in the end.
You say well judged because he's made it home and he's not out, but I think a gun throw from the boundary right over the top of the bails could have been really interesting. It was nicely played. Good. Flick of the wrists allows it to go away with some pace.
Tends to play. I don't want to touch them. He's got to make the play against Mahidi with the ball turning in.
So a good productive over for South Africa. 9 from it, 104 for 5.
সানসিল্ক পিঙ্ক ব্যবহারে চুল দেখায় ঘন, আর ঘন চুলে সব পসিবল। ঘন চুলে হয়ে যাও পপুলার, অথবা পাওয়ারফুল, কিংবা দারুণ সুন্দর। ঘন চুলে সব হেয়ার স্টাইল পসিবল। সানসিল্ক পিঙ্ক থিক অ্যান্ড লং উইথ কেরাটিন ইয়োগার্ট, চুলকে দেখায় ঘন। এখন এগিয়ে যাও।
Liquid RFLC PVC Pro Pipe and Fittings, the hot option.
জি আপা, এই তো আমি এখনই পাঠাচ্ছি।
এখনই সময় আমাদের সব চাওয়াগুলোকে সম্ভব করার। সাথে আছে দেশের সবচেয়ে শক্তিশালী গ্রামীণ ফোন 4G নেটওয়ার্ক। গ্রামীণ ফোন।
Change of bowling. The Fizz back into the mix. 2 overs 0 for 12. Bit of a surprise. They started with him today, and big shot, but I think on the angle, probably heading down the leg side. To not go upstairs.
Aladdin Palika, a batting umpire, I think.
I'm sure you would have noticed. Always watchful for those kind of things. Yeah, that's clearly heading down the leg side. No issues there whatsoever. Wouldn't have even hit a fourth stump, I would suggest.
Yeah, obviously, the swing and the ball is on.
Deliveries he's decided to start with. Torres turns blind, but will be home comfortably. When we say turn blind, that means as he turns, his back is to the fielders. So it's difficult to see exactly where the ball is and how quickly they're going to release, but he was determined just to touch and move. So I said not hitting a fourth stump. Let's have a look. Oh, clipping. Umpire's call. Maybe a bit closer. Massive change in his wrist position as he brings that arm over. It's something you can start to pick up the longer you're at the crease, but he's so effective and he lands it and gets the ball to grip, turns nicely.
Yeah, just the setup. You know, his upright ball, the quicker ball, sort of angled in on that off stump, and then this one just takes off, and you pick it up late because he's got such a sort of whip on it. You almost just steered it because of the angle that it's coming in on.
It was interesting to watch there. That last one dropped well short. The keeper, Rahim. And then I noticed as he ran into bowl that last delivery, Rahim was actually walking up with him. And that was communication that we used to do nowadays to try and let the keeper know there was going to be the slow delivery to come up 2 or 3 meters to make sure that if there was an edge it could carry through. Fizz ending up on the ground. I don't know if he landed on his follow through. And what's he like? You're around the nets. Does he ever bowl just left arm spin and have a few overs in the nets?
The Fizz, I think he just, when I got to Bangladesh, he used to just walk around with his bowling boots. I don't think he had any cricket equipment in terms of batting, didn't like batting. We got him on the machine, just range hitting, and he quite fancied that. So he does his job. He's a brilliant guy, good team man. Other interests, he's got a prawn farm. He loves motorbikes.
And gets away with just 2 from the over. 106 for 5. I'll go back to my question. Have you ever seen him bowl left arm?
রং আর স্বাদ আনতে বসুন্ধরার কিচ্ছু করতে হয় না।
রং আর স্বাদ তো দেয় প্রকৃতি তার আপন খেয়ালে। আমাদের কৃষকেরা পরম যত্ন ফলায় প্রকৃতির উৎকৃষ্ট ফসল। এই কঠিন কাজে সবসময় পাশে থাকে বসুন্ধরার অভিজ্ঞ কর্মীরা। আর এই কাজটা শুধুমাত্র করে বসুন্ধরাই।
আর নিজেরা ফলাই বলে শুধুমাত্র বসুন্ধরাই আমাকে দেয় প্রকৃতির অকৃত্রিম রং আর স্বাদে ভরপুর এক অনন্য গুঁড়া মশলা।
বসুন্ধরা গুঁড়া মশলা
দিয়া আইডিএলসি তে টাকা জমাইতাছি নিরাপদে।
That is, I think that's the thinking now with Bangladesh deciding if they can just find a wicket here, if they can break this, try and get into the bowlers, things could be really looking rosy for them. So it's a change. Tuskin back into the mix. 2 for 17 for him so far. Oh, and that one stays down.
The starter definitely looked better than the first one-day international wicket. This one, 2 just variable bounce. We saw Rassi van der Dussen get surprised. One at caught at a short. And this one, you see the variability of the wicket there now.
Definitely scored. When I did push on them, they were soft. It was like a little bit of movement. And invariably what happens with that situation is when it hits those little pieces that can move, it tends to take the bounce out of the ball. And that's why you get the odd delivery that squats and stays down low. That was why I wasn't convinced it was going to be a good surface. That was why I thought South Africa's start was so brilliant. It was almost like there was an unawareness from the Bangladesh unit that actually the surface could be quite difficult if you were consistent, and they weren't up front. As you mentioned, they've come back nicely. Like a Bangladesh kind of surface, wouldn't you say? Keeping a little bit lower than bounce. Got another one. That's the breakthrough they were after. That was why there was a change of bowling. And I think Pretorius will be a little bit disappointed with that. It was a bit of a waft. Planted his foot straight down and then went after the wider one. And this is brilliant from Bangladesh. 1-0 in the series. This is the decider. And they're stepping up to the plate. 107 for 6. Really in control.
Other fortunes, and all he can do is get a big outside edge. And Taskin's got another one. South Africa, 107 for 6.
Yeah, 107 for 6. Pretorius goes for 20.
চ্যালেঞ্জ আসতেই থাকবে, কিন্তু আমি থামবো না। নিউক্লিয়ার ম্যান আমাকে খুশকি থেকে দূরে থাকতে সাহায্য করে। এর ট্রিপল অ্যান্টি ড্যান্ড্রাফ টেকনোলজি খুশকি দূর করে এবং বারবার ফিরে আসা বন্ধ করতে সাহায্য করে, আর নিয়মিত ব্যবহারে 99% জীবাণু দূর করে। লুকানোর দিন শেষ।
Bangladesh wicket. You don't really get the Bangladesh wicket to bounce. When it stays low, that's sort of the Bangladesh side. But this is, every now and then, there's a little bit of hop in it. We saw that one carry. Mushy catching that way above. I know he's a short man, but there's big carry here on a few of the deliveries, which highlight the variable bounce in this wicket.
23 against Bangladesh at Centurion in his last batting outing. We'll be hoping for more of the same. It's an impressive strike rate, averaging just over 15. But it'll be about the runs. That's why I say, if they can repeat that 23, as he did here not so long ago, a few days ago, South Africa will be pretty happy with that. They'll be thinking again, like Bangladesh were, maybe 200 is going to be competitive. Still plenty of overs to go, but it's all about the wickets. It's nasty ball. He's got his tail up as Tuscan, and so he should have it. He was brilliant here on Friday night, and he's repeating the dose. 3 for 18. Bit of a waft this from Pretorius. Not really in any position. You can see how that front foot stays on off stump. And he decides to go hard at it, but the extra bounce does for him. It's actually interesting to see that ball as it flies through to Rahim. Almost goes through like a flying saucer, and sometimes those ones are the ones that dip. But the celebrations on the bank and the vocal Bangladesh supporters are coming into the own.
Earlier there's from Carl Rainer as well, who chopped on. Similar sort of length. There you see it. It's not really under his eyes. He has to hit it up on the up, and on this type of wicket, it's just too much against you.
Follow the ball. There we go. There's the flying saucer. Those are the ones that can dip on you, but a comfortable catch in the end. I suggest he's a cheeky customer. A wicket and a run off that over. Bangladesh in control, 25.
অরণি, তুমি নিজের চুল সামলাও। গরম ঘাম তোমার চুলের শাইনটা নষ্ট করে দেয়।
চুল সামলাবো, শাইনও করবো।
সানসিল্ক ব্ল্যাক শাইন 5টি ন্যাচারাল অয়েল ফর্মুলায়, যা গরম হোক কিংবা ঘাম, এটি তোমার চুলে দেয় 24 ঘন্টা পর্যন্ত শাইন।
চুল সামলাবো, শাইনও করবো।
এত খরচের বাজারে মানুষ একা সংসার।
আমি কাজ শুরু করব, কাপড় সেলাইয়ের। একসাথে রোজগার করব, একসাথে সংসার চালাবো। হুইল 2-in-1, কাপড় ফ্রেশ, চিন্তাও ফ্রেশ।
There's the batting to come, just the 3 bowlers. So plenty of work to be done to get a competitive score onto the board for South Africa. It's a series on the line. Can Bangladesh win it for the first time in South Africa? That's what we wait to see. Talking about the fizz, there's some variations that he possesses. Watch the palm of the left hand. This is where you try and pick up a cue as a batter. Stock balls on the left hand side. Already you can see there's a change in the grip, and if you can't pick it up there in an upright position,
That's amazing, the cues there. You know, normally you've got a cue that you can see. You know, if you're picking up that ball, and obviously he's running in quite quickly, there's not too much. It doesn't change too much, and I think that's the effectiveness of that slow ball. You don't have too many cues, and all of a sudden it's on you. You know, and he's not bowling 120 and then bowling a slow ball. He can juice it up to high 130s or 140, and then all of a sudden that change-up is so slow without it affecting his action. I think that's the key, and that's why he's been so successful.
You talk about the cues, it's so difficult when you come to the crease, and often he's operating at the back end of an inning. So as a tail ender or late to middle order batter, you come to the crease thinking you have to score at a rapid rate. And as a top order batter, you might take 5-10 deliveries to work everything out. But when you come to the crease and immediately have to go at him, that's when the variations really do for you. A bit like how difficult it was with Lasith Malinga.
I think as well, it just bowls cutters all day and just varies his sort of length. Bowls a slow ball bumper, really hard to get any sort of momentum on that ball.
Yeah, we saw that graphic. David Miller, 79 brilliant innings in the first match, didn't have to bat in the second. And I think that's where a lot of South Africa's hopes lie, on his shoulders. 79, I think, 57 deliveries or 67 deliveries. He really does have an impressive record, averaging over 41.
A good target, how you playing your game.
It was a nice situation when you, in many ways, because you could just bat. You know, normally you often have to come in with 2 or 3 overs to go and sort of get in quickly and throw the kitchen sink. But now, because of pressure to score quickly, so you can take your time to get in. You're just thinking about playing your way you do, getting in, seeing what the pitch is doing, trying to pick up singles, trying to keep it ticking along. I mean, they can even bat normally for 20 overs, and that's only 45. There's no real need to take any risks. No one's going to be in your ear about chewing up deliveries. They're saying take your time, take as much time. The top 6 couldn't do it, so be our guest and see what you can possibly manage to put onto the board.
And target, are you just batting overs and targeting something?
Yeah, I think we can reassess. I think there's just a little edge involved there. That's why there's a Starfield appeal. But another quality over for the Bangladesh team. 2 runs from it. 108, 109 for 6.
স্বপ্নগুলো ছড়িয়ে দিতে হয়, একদিন ওরাও লিখবে ওদের গল্প উড়ে যাওয়ার। বসুন্ধরা খাতা, লেখো তোমার ভবিষ্যৎ।
Tasty, tasty, orange and lemon, yummy strawberry, milk and lychee. It's the magic of lollipop, the magic of fruits.
ক্যালসিয়াম, আয়রন, আয়োডিন দরকারি সব পুষ্টি উপাদান চপস্টিকে আছে, আর ডিম ও সবজি দিয়েই তো রাধি। হেলথের বিচারে তাই চপস্টিকই ঠিকঠাক। স্বাদ ও স্বাস্থ্য রাখতে ঠিক টেস্টিং সল্ট মুক্ত চপস্টিক।
বাবা মায়ের জন্য নিব তো, ক্লিক ছাড়া তো অন্য কোনো ফ্যানে ভরসা হয় না। কপার কোয়ালিশন।
Whenever they get over 150 or 160, they've got still that self-belief that that's going to be enough to win the game.
Bangladesh past masters are at squeezing opposition, and you can always tell where if their 2 best fielders are in the inner ring, they're looking to squeeze, and Bangladesh on top. There you've got Mahedi Hassan at backward point, and Lytton Das, who's actually a keeper, but in terms of ground fielding and movement, push off the back foot. So for South Africa's point of view, if Lytton Das gets to the boundary, South Africa in a decent position. But at this stage, he's squeezing in that inner ring.
At the moment, South Africa, you know, if Keshav Maharaj or David Miller can get the ball to the boundary, they're in a good position. It's been quite a while since the last boundary was struck for South Africa. Keen, but nothing going for it.
I think they'll be taking the review. There again,
isn't he? He wants them to send this upstairs, because after it's made contact, it goes onto the pad and it pops out to him at short mid wicket. He has a shot at the stumps. He makes contact. The bails are dislodged, and he's trying to ask the umpire, you sure he didn't have his bat up and then pop it in at the last minute?
When we talk about your key fielders, where is the ball going to go more often? And I think with Kaskin running in, hitting a hard length, it's going to go obviously backward point, but also with the angle, it's going to hit mid-wicket. They're those two men. You've got Hassan and you've got Lytton Dust. For the right-hander, with the fizz is going to be going.
Yeah, Tuscan is in the same place, cover and backward point, because he's shaping away from the right-hander. Oh, that's nicely played. We're talking about boundaries. This could be the first in a while for South Africa, and it will be. That's nicely timed by David Miller. Punched straight into the pitches alongside the surface that's been played on, and that's why there was a bit more bounce.
It's a fantastic shot. Really waits for it. Hits it right under his eyes. You get full value for runs here. You don't have to overhit it here at the Highveld, particularly at Supersport Park. And he's just an incredible timer of the ball. What I've really liked, even his innings the other night, is just his compactness. We know he can hit the ball. Just the way he's looking, where he's hitting the ball. When David Miller's hitting mid-on, you know he's in a good frame of mind and a good position.
ব্যাপারে আপনার পরামর্শ লাগবে।
কিন্তু রেজা ভাই, আপনি সব সময় আমাকে জাহিদ ভাবি বলে ডাকেন। আমারও কিন্তু একটা নাম আছে, সামিনা।
তোমার জন্য স্পেশাল কার্ড।
এখন থেকে তুমি জাহিদ ভাবি নয়, সামিনা নামেই উজ্জ্বল হবে।
ঋণ আপনার কাপড়কে করে উজ্জ্বল, এবার নিজের নামকে উজ্জ্বল করুন ঋণ নাম করা নারীর সাথে।
গোলাপি নির্যাস আর ভিটামিন ই সহ নতুন লাক্স দেয় চাঁদের মতো উজ্জ্বল চেহারা। লাক্স
সম্পূর্ণ মেটাল বডি এবং 8 পয়েন্ট সুপার লকে তৈরি ব্রাভো মেটাল ডোর ভিআইপি সিকিউরিটি।
বিকাশে ভিসা ডেবিট কার্ড সেভ করে অ্যাড মানি করলেই
100 টাকা বোনাস।
It's Carl Verena, but on the front foot really slashing it.
Two of the victims in the picture. Oh, there's another bonus boundary for South Africa. So a brilliant one in the last over from David Miller. This one off the pad.
For South Africa, the fizz coming over, just straying down the leg side. That's a soft boundary. One that South Africa. I was talking about Miller and his compactness, and when he's hitting mid-on, it's not necessarily when the ball's going to mid-on, but when his body shape is actually saying, okay, well, he's lined up to hit mid-on. Sometimes he ends up closing off that front foot, and that's his hitting. When he's hitting, you'll see that front foot how it closes, then gets out the way, and that back hip comes through. And he tends sometimes to default to that when he's batting normally. So I always look just for that on drive. See if he's set up onside, it tells me he's compact. Like that tells me compact. He's not falling over there. You see his head nice and still. It's all to do with that front foot.
I've always felt with him that he's never really felt that he just closes himself off when they come around the wicket and across on the angle. You often see him finding the outside edge into the slip cordon. I think that's a real strong position, that one.
And you forget he's been around for so long. He sort of debuted in the IPL years and years ago. You think he's only 32, so he's still got a lot of cricket. Only learning his game. Bit of aggression, hit into the wicket. So you're really only learning your game. He's 32. You know, he doesn't get to play as much first-class cricket. A short ball. You see a lot of guys that have given up the longer format. It actually hurts their shorter format. You lose your little edge.
You're consistently working on your foundation to be able to execute your skills and your flair. Got to have a base before you try and launch. That's nicely played. Just tucks it away. 112 kilometers per hour that last delivery. That's the massive change. Most of his stock deliveries are around 140. What does your weather nose tell you, Mac? Is there a chance of storm? It's looking a bit cloudy and overcast, but gloomy.
Well, I'm not a local here anymore, Polly.
Coming towards this off stump and then straightened up. So that's 5 runs from that. 28, 120 for 6.
গুড লাক ব্ল্যাক ওপেনের টাংস্টান কার্বাইড চিপ ও বিশেষ কালিদায় পরিষ্কার ও দ্রুত লেখার প্রতিশ্রুতি। গুড লাক ব্ল্যাক ও না লিখে যাবে কোথায়।
লাইফ বয় লিকুইড হ্যান্ড ওয়াশের সাথে পাও জীবাণু থেকে 10 গুণ বেশি সুরক্ষা। তাই এখন পাম্প, রাব, ছু করো 10 গুণ বেশি জীবাণু। লাইফ বয় হ্যান্ড ওয়াশ 100 মিলি প্যাক এখন সাবানের দামে।
যাবেন না কোথায়? গ্রামীণ ফোন 4G তে এক্ষুনি।
স্লো ইন্টারনেট আর নয়, 4G হ্যান্ডসেট নিয়ে দেশের সবচেয়ে শক্তিশালী গ্রামীণ ফোন 4G তে আসার এখনই সময়। গ্রামীণ ফোন।
কাঠের চেয়েও কঠোর।
Bangwa is being joined by Atta Ali Khan.